How's it going, everyone? Chris here, and welcome back to another Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Countdown video. We only have 9 days left until the game's release on December 7th, and wow guys, can you believe that we are now officially in the single-digit day countdown for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Because I cannot. In just 9 short days, we are all going to have our hands on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I could not be more excited. But for now, today what we are going to be doing is we are going to be talking about some evidence for some new DLC characters that data miners have found while searching through Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. However, as always, and I cannot stress this enough, just because these data miners found all of this new evidence, this does not 100% confirm any of these characters, so make sure you guys take all of this information with a grain of salt and realize that I'm talking about this just for fun. If you'd like to read along while I talk, you'll find a link to the original post in the description bar down below. And now, with all that out of the way, I have to tell you guys where I found all of this information. So guys, as of now, there are illegal copies of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate out in the wild, which means the game has been 100% data mined. This post was sent in to me by one of my subscribers through my Discord server, so if you guys have not yet already, I highly recommend you join my Discord, as we now have over 2,600 members, always talking about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and having a great time. So if you guys haven't yet, you can find a link to it in the description as well as the pinned comment. Now, this post does in fact come from 4chan, and it is a text post, but the thing that's special about this is that this is not a normal leak, but instead this is information about a data mine. So if you guys want to leave, go ahead and do so now, otherwise we are going to jump right into all of this new information. So guys, like I said, all of this information comes from 4chan, and it is from a post that has no title. It is posted by Anonymous, and it starts by saying, "Data miners checked all spirits and didn't find any Porky spirit. The fact that he is the only missing Brawl boss without a spirit, character, background appearance, or reference in the files is highly suspicious. Next year is Mother's 30th anniversary, meaning that they could keep Porky for DLC for promotion, especially with Nintendo choosing the characters this time. Porky is in. Next, data miners checked all spirits and found hunters from the Metroid Prime hunters, but not Sci Lux. He is the most important one, for he appears in the ending of both Metroid Prime 3 and Federation Forces, making him the only other recurring hunter in the series alongside Samus, with a total of 3 appearances. The main producer of Metroid Prime 4 previously said that Sci Lux would get one of the main roles in the game, Red, the main antagonist, and would serve as advertisement for the game, especially with Nintendo choosing the DLC. Sci Lux is in. Data miners found 2 rare IPs in the files, Jet Force Gemini and Blast Corps, proving Microsoft's involvement. Phil Spencer, the leader of Microsoft, confirmed that he was okay with giving Banjo in Smash, and he also scored high on the ballot, something that Nintendo for sure noticed. Then, crossplay exists between the Switch and the Xbox One, meaning that a collaboration already happened between these two rivals. Finally, Banjo is in. Next, data miners found a sort of Poochie, but none of them have Poochie's standard name and instead specify his variants. Example, SPI, Poochie, Yarn, while Yoshi has his 3 variants, Yarn, Crafted, and Normal, represented. Nintendo didn't forget about him, since he makes an appearance in Mario Odyssey, and he is also Yoshi's main ally in the Yoshi series, as well as the second face nowadays. He is set to appear in Yoshi's Crafted World next year, which would be the perfect timing for promotion and including his crafter form. Poochie is in. Data miners didn't find any spirit of Adaline, despite finding all other main characters from the Kirby series. She recently made an appearance in Kirby Star Allies, which means that Nintendo didn't forget about her. For some reason, she was not added in the last spirits, despite the 3 Mage Sisters and other Kirby appearing at the end of the list. Bonus, Stealth, known for leaking Simon Belmont first, said that she was coming alongside Bandana D, Catalina, Gunvolt, and Steve. However, he also supports Hitagi, who is known for backtracking a lot, so keep that in mind when deciding on believing him or not. Adaline is in. So now that we've gone over the entire post, let's talk about it a little bit. So like I said guys, a couple of videos ago we actually did cover Banjo Kazooie, Sci Lux, and Porky, so we're not going to go super in depth with any of those characters, but I do want to talk about Adaline and Poochie a lot. However, if you guys want all of my thoughts on Banjo, Porky, and Sci Lux, I will leave a link to the video where I originally talked about them in the description as well as the pinned comment, so that way you guys can watch them, but don't worry because I am going to go over them briefly. First of all, however, let's talk about spirits really quick. So it is confirmed that none of these characters have spirits in the game, although all of them are main characters, or at least very recognizable. Now, if you guys didn't watch the video I made yesterday about spirits deconfirming characters, I highly recommend you do so, just because at this point, I think it's extremely fair to say that spirits do in fact deconfirm characters as DLC. The fact that none of these characters have spirits in any way does point to their inclusion as Smash Ultimate DLC, and we'll get into that a little bit more in a little while. So first of all, let's talk about Porky really quick. So I know that we already have 2 Earthbound characters, and a lot of people really don't want another one, but I think that Porky would make a great fighter in Smash. I understand that a lot of people think that he is way too big to be in the game, but at the same time, that same argument was made for Ridley, so I don't think that it exactly holds up here. Next, again, the fact that he doesn't have a spirit in Smash Ultimate, he's not a boss, and he just isn't in the game at all, does point towards the fact that he's probably going to be a DLC character. If you guys remember, in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, he was actually a boss in the Subspace Emissary, so to just remove him completely is an injustice, and I think that this all points towards his inclusion as a character. Next, like this post says, next year is Mother's 30th anniversary, and so a great way to promote maybe a Mother 3 release in the US, a localized version, would be to release Porky as a DLC character, and also, it does make a lot of sense just because Porky is a villain, and we don't have any villains from the Mother series quite yet. Next, we're going to talk about Sci Lux, and at first, I really thought that Sci Lux had no way of making it into Super Smash Bros., but at this point, I am starting to become more and more convinced every day. So really quick, I am going to spoil something from Metroid Prime 3, so if you guys have any plans to play the game, I highly recommend you click off this video now, or just skip ahead a little bit, just so that you don't get this amazing spoiler at the end of the game. Basically, at the end of the game, we see Sci Lux running away, and it is heavily implied that Sci Lux is going to be the main antagonist in Metroid Prime 4, and since we do have confirmation from the creator that he is going to play a huge role in Metroid Prime 4, at this point, I think that Sci Lux is all but guaranteed. Sci Lux is a very recognizable character within the Metroid fanbase, and since he plays such a big role, he definitely has a chance. Now, I understand that he looks like Samus and Dark Samus, and a lot of you guys are like, oh, he'd be way too similar, but in that same regard, we have Mario, Luigi, Dr. Mario, Roy, Marth, Chrom, like, we have all these characters that are really similar, and Sci Lux isn't actually as similar as you guys might think. Just because he looks like Samus, that does not mean he's just like her. Next up, let's go ahead and talk about Banjo and Kazooie. So guys, for a long time, I'm not going to lie, I always thought that Steve was going to make it in before Banjo and Kazooie, but at this point, I am thoroughly convinced that Banjo is going to make it in. Like this post says, DATAMINERS found 2 rare IPs in the files. Now, we all know that Rare is owned by Microsoft, but in general, Microsoft has many more recognizable characters than Rare does, so the fact that they decide to put Rare characters in instead of Microsoft characters says a lot about Banjo's inclusion in Super Smash Bros. Not only that, but if you guys remember a little while ago, Nintendo actually renewed Banjo and Kazooie's trademark, and if you guys don't know what renewing a trademark means, basically, they renewed the trademark because either they wanted to sell merchandise, remake a game, or maybe put it on the Nintendo 64 Classic, or include Banjo and Kazooie in Smash, and at this point, I am heavily leaning towards him being in Smash. So guys, now we're going to go ahead and talk about the new characters, and at this point, I'm starting to think that both of these characters have a really good chance of making it in. So first of all, let's talk about Poochie. Now, I'm sure you're thinking right now, why would Poochie from Yoshi ever make it into Super Smash Bros.? Could you imagine a dog character making it into Smash? That's unheard of, it's just a dog, but at the same time, we have to remember that Yoshi is now a different franchise from Mario, and the Yoshi franchise only has one representative. Now, as far as I know, Yoshi does not have that many different reps that it could potentially put in to Super Smash Bros. I mean, I guess you could say Bowser Jr. is a part of it just because he does seem to be the main antagonist sometimes, but he is part of the Mario series, so we're going to leave that there. The only option that we could have for another Yoshi rep is Poochie. Poochie is a character that you can use throughout the game in the Yoshi games, and he's basically a permanent staple. Nintendo really likes Poochie because they made a ton of merchandise for Poochie, as well as Poochie's own amiibo. Not every character gets their own amiibo, so Poochie getting an amiibo says a lot about what Nintendo thinks about him. We also have to remember that Poochie is appearing in Yoshi's Crafted World as a main character, so Nintendo could totally put him in Smash as a DLC character to promote Yoshi's Crafted World. I could definitely see that happening. And finally, guys, the fact that Poochie does not have a spirit in Super Smash Bros., even though he is a very popular character, does point towards him being a playable character in Ultimate. And finally, we have Adaline from the Kirby series, and at first, just like you guys, I'm like, there is absolutely no way Adaline is ever going to make it into Super Smash Bros., but at this point, guys, she does have a lot going for her. First of all, she was one of the main characters in Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. Not only that, she was so popular among Nintendo people that she actually was brought back in Kirby Star Allies, so she has been around a lot. Also, in all of the spirits, there are a ton of Kirby enemies and a ton of Kirby's friends, but Adaline is nowhere to be seen. Adaline was just recently released in Star Allies, so Sakurai and his team were definitely aware of her, as well as Nintendo, so I think that the fact that they didn't put her in as a spirit means that she has a chance of making it in as a playable character. Also, I know that a lot of people really want Bandana Waddle Dee as a playable character, however, we have already found Bandana Waddle Dee's spirit, while we have not found Adaline's. Wouldn't it be cool if Adaline ended up being a playable character? We don't have any characters besides, I guess, maybe the Inklings that would use paint to fight, because what Adaline does is she can paint stuff, and then the stuff she paints can actually be brought to life. Not only that, Adaline was made by Sakurai, so Sakurai would be able to come up with a super unique moveset for her, and as of now, I really hope she actually makes it in, because I think she would be a phenomenal 4th Kirby representative. But guys, let me know what you guys think about all of these characters as potential DLC in the comment section down below. Do you guys believe that all of these characters have a chance to make it in, and would you be happy if they did? Why or why not? Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, share, and like, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.